Now, Turkey, viewers, is also playing up. And we have Tilak Devasher, we have General Bakshi to talk a little bit about it, and also, of course, Sushil Pandit. Turkey's military support to Pakistan reportedly even during the 5 days that India was pummeling Pakistan. Its unabashed advocacy for Pakistan's terror tactics, its openly anti-India stance on Kashmir, on other hot-button issues ranging from CA to Article 370, its bonhomie with China in a bid to outflank India at various international fora have spawned a massive backlash in India. Many spontaneous calls for banning Turkey are erupting all around the country. Tour operators, flight booking websites, traders and numerous civic groups are voluntarily pledging to boycott Turkey, to stop travel to Turkey, to stop buying Turkish food products. JNU has even called off an important agreement with its Turkish counterpart. Turkish backing for Pakistan, especially during the last fortnight after Pahalgam, was more than evident. Viewers, there are lists of instances how Turkey actually helped Pakistan in this last 1 month period of time. Viewers, can we, however, exercise leverage over Turkey? Because we did so successfully. You may recall that when Maldives backstabbed us, we the people brought the island nation to its knees. Turkey is less dependent on India, and the question therefore is how much leverage can India exert on Turkey? Now, viewers, there will be some statistics and you will see that there is limited influence, but I'm not going to hog the space. I want to bring in Tilak Devasher. I want to bring in General Bakshi. Tilak Devasher, can we actually get Turkey to basically begin to speak a more neutral language? I'm not even talking about a pro-India language, but at least a neutral language, to at least confront them with the reality of why they should not be backing Pakistan.
I think the way forward will be economic. I mean, I was shocked. There are 2.4 lakh, or was it 2.4 million tourists, Indian tourists, visiting Turkey, and similar number who visit Azerbaijan. I think, and I'm glad some travel companies have now stopped further booking or cancelling their bookings. The way to do it is to hurt Turkey's purse. They have a very high inflation. The economy is not doing too well. And I think backing off for Indians to back off from going to Turkey or buying Turkish products or importing stuff from Turkey, we should do that in a large measure and across the board, like we did with Maldives. You know, the campaign which was started against Maldives, it paid dividends. Similarly, it's not going to happen in one day, Rahul. It will happen over a period of time. But the message must go across to Turkey that you can't do this. Erdogan has his own ambitions to revive the Ottoman Empire, to become the caliphate and things. That's his problem. That's certainly not India's problem. And if you think that's the way to do it by hurting India, you've got another thought coming.
Okay.
I think this message must go to him very, very clearly.
Trade is the primary tool. General Bakshi, do you agree, or do you think some other screws can be turned?
No, certainly, because what are his vulnerabilities? As Mr. Devasher very rightly pointed out, his vulnerabilities are his economy. His political instability stems from the weakness of the economy, right? Therefore, you hit him where it hurts. There are a number of Turkish companies operating air cargo business in India. We can hit at them. There are Turkish infrastructure companies trying to build our Atal tunnel, and we've told them that in national security sensitive places, you just can't come in, pack up your bags and go back home, right? Certainly you will hit them there. You can go even further. You can go even further. Just before I retired, I'd taken a National Defense College delegation to Turkey. Now, the Turks and the Greeks have been having it out in Cyprus, right? The Greeks just do not like the Turks. So when they gave me very broad hints that they wanted Indian weapons, they wanted the BrahMos, they were keen to see what the Akash is like. Now the Akash has proved itself. They wanted our medium artillery guns. That time we were working on Dhanush. ATAGS was in the pipeline. Pinaka is another thing, So in off-the-record discussions, these were discussed, right? So if Turkey wants to, Erdogan's son owns that drone company which is selling all these missiles to Pakistan, and he's making a neat profit in the bargain with 300 to 400 missiles that just don't work. Just don't work. You know, it's another thing giving those missiles to Azerbaijan and they bash poor Armenia, which has no air defenses worth the name. Try it against the integrated Indian air defenses. Not one has gone through. They've been a total disaster, PR disaster for their sales. And even the Chinese, you know, the Avic company stock, the Chengdu, Vagera stocks are down.
Right.
Are down because the world has seen.
That's true.
Right?
But
we were
the
a
problem,
bit slow, you know, getting off our marks. Right?
Yeah, but there's a small problem.
So,
trade.
so you know,
Yeah.
you know, I'll just finish.
Yeah.
I'll just finish. You know, there were intelligence reports at one time that Erdogan wanted to recruit some 3,000 terrorists from Syria and send them to Jammu and Kashmir. Right? It's easy to talk the big talk. You know, the Turks had sent a corvette to Karachi, a corvette naval ship. When they saw the carrier battle group led by the Vikrant approaching Karachi, that corvette left in a tearing hurry.
There you go.
It switched off its transponder, radar transponder, you know, that identification of ships transponder, you know, and it ran. Pakistani ships ran into their port and switched off their radar transponders to avoid getting clobbered by the Indian Navy. He is not as tall as he thinks he is.
Fair enough. So to cut him down to size,
Rahul,
viewers, obviously we need
not
to
as tall
also.
as he thinks. He can get it back.
Okay, so let me bring in Sushil Pandit. Sushil Pandit, one of the small hiccups, let me just put it like that, is that Indian tourists only account for 0.5% of the total tourist inflow. And tourism contributes just 12% to Turkey's GDP. So you can imagine that number. And then the India-Turkey bilateral trade is a healthy $10 billion, but nothing exceptional. And Turkey, in fact, is the 45th largest foreign investor in India. So it's not as if it's even very high up there or it's putting in a lot of money. In fact, Turkish investment in India is only about $210 million. That is chump change, so to speak. And Turkey's exports to India is only about $3.78 billion. So even if we say, okay, we don't want any of your products, yeah, I mean, it'll be a bit of a setback, but it's not as if Turkey is going to be sort of broke. We are not dealing here with Pakistan. So what should we do really?
Well, it may not be large size right now, but Turkish Airlines flies about 14 flights every week, 7 Mumbai, 7 Delhi. And it has fast become a hub for Indians traveling to US or Europe. And they hope to grow it to a much larger size, just as tourism grew more than 20% year over to 23 to 24. That is the potential they are looking at. And we shouldn't forget, Erdogan is the new Mahathir Mohamad. In 2020, when he was talking nonsense about Kashmir, we stopped buying the palm oil. Malaysian palm oil industry came to its knees. We were the largest buyer. That may not be the clout we hold with Turkey, but we hold a huge promise with Turkey. And we must, not just Turkey or Azerbaijan, we must make an example out of Turkey. This is an opportunity not just to hurt Turkey. It is an opportunity to hurt Pakistan. I have a suggestion to make. They have closed their skies for us. If we ask the global airlines to choose between Pakistan and Turkey, if they want to fly to Pakistan and serve Pakistan, then they should forget Indian business. If they want to look at Indian business, then they should forget Pakistan. I'm telling you, 99.9% airlines will leave Pakistan. There's nothing to do there. And it will choke. PIA is a moribund airline. One way to choke aviation and to we can ask our friendly neighbors, Emirates, Etihad, Qatar, choose between Pakistan and India, and they know which side of the bread is buttered.
That is true.
We have to start. We have to start making an example. Turkey is given this example on a platter.
That
we
is
should
true.
expand it to a much larger field.
Okay.
And then go ahead in the business of, conducting trade. We should And for that, first and foremost, we should call a parliament session and brand Pakistan as a terror rogue state. That will give us legitimacy to tighten the screws in economy, tighten the screws in trade, tighten the screws in all kinds of international relationships where we force the world to choose between India and Pakistan, and let's see who chooses Pakistan.
I think that's a very good question, because that's the strategy. Remember, viewers, Saudi Arabia were one of the first and main backers of Pakistan. Today, India has been able to wean them away, wean them off this Pakistan love. And today they stand a neutralized state, basically a neutral state. And in fact, we have a very promising agreement with Saudi Arabia, viewers. So it can be done. We just have to now apply our minds to it. Let's move on, because viewers